Welcome to The Funniest Thing.
Yes.
Where each week we share stories about how stepping out boldly always leads to better than expected outcomes.
Thank heavens.
I'm Darrell.
I'm Ed.
And we're broadcasting from Joie Studios.
In beautiful downtown Van Nuys.
That's right.
Yes.
Now, do you have a reading to kick off this episode?
I do have a reading. Today's show is called Apply Within with Valerie Reeves, and we're very excited she's here. She is from currently at the Center of for Spiritual Living in Redondo Beach, and she is glistening with joy. So in Around the Year with Emmett Fox, great book to read for your morning routine.
Yes, it is.
On December 22nd, no, we're not going to read December 22nd to start. We're going to read December 16th to start, which is a reading called Make It Work. And it says, from Proverbs 23:23, buy the truth and sell it not, also wisdom and instruction and understanding. So all you have of truth is what you understand of it. And what you understand, you always demonstrate. It naturally follows from this that the only way to improve yourself and your conditions is to gain an increase in understanding. And the only way to gain an increase in understanding is to make practical use of the truth you already know. Knowledge that you do not actually use is only intellectual knowledge and is barren, and even that fades out in time through lack of use. You will never demonstrate or progress on mere theories that you have not put to the test. You will never demonstrate or grow spiritually on what is in a textbook or a lecture until you have begun to put such knowledge into practice. It is far better to have a thimbleful of spiritual knowledge and use it than to have a whole mountain of correct spiritual doctrine, most of which you have never made work. Don't jump into anything else yet. We got some housekeeping.
I'm very excited. Do your housekeeping, but I don't want to forget what I'm going to say about that great Bible verse.
Oh, say it now.
Oh, I can say it now?
Yeah.
I
didn't know if you were going to jump into 3 more readings. That's what I was.
No.
Yeah.
I wasn't whipping out any more readings.
Okay.
Well, the Bible verse, in case you were just listening and forgot it from the same reading, is
including
buy the truth and sell it not, also wisdom and instruction and understanding. So this is, whenever I was new to something, my old bad habit, whenever I discovered something new,
right,
before I even started to incorporate it in my life,
right,
I was so high on what I just learned in that seminar or workshop, or or learned something new from a teacher, and I'm so high on this that I would immediately start sharing that information. And when I continue to share the information, because it's still just in my head,
right,
and this is what it means by buy the knowledge, get the knowledge. And when the word buy is used in these, for me, in a spiritual and esoteric meaning, means to seek, to really desire it. Because, when you buy something, you're paying for it. So it's something that I value. I want to value. This is valuable stuff. I'm willing to go get it.
And you pay for this with your attention to it, with your fascination with it, with your interest.
But then it says, and sell it not, meaning don't now that you got your beak wet, Darrell, don't just go around now telling people that, wow, look what I learned, as if I'm now living it. And that was my the MO I used to have.
Yeah.
There's 2 positive things in this reading. One is you don't need a lot of spiritual knowledge to really start benefiting from it.
Right.
Because you could just apply the thimbleful you already have. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I'll just tell you, Mike Dugan was my mentor many years ago.
Yes.
And the best thing he said to me was, Darrell, when it came to this, he goes, number one, don't think you're better than anyone else just because now you're privy to this stuff.
Right.
Because you're not. You obviously need it just to live up to just to be among those people.
Right.
Meaning most people are way more well-adjusted than you. But that's also coupled with, Darrell, show them, don't tell them. So early on, I really committed to this idea, and it's helped, and it's stuck with me, and as a reminder that when I get hopped up on something new that you and I learn, I mean, both of us know this now. Instead of running around and blabbing about it, look how smart I am, look at this great information I have.
Right.
You know, and then we get drunk on the idea that we think we're practicing it because I'm telling everybody about it.
Right.
But I'm not. So Dugan would say, show them, don't tell them. And now I take that energy that would normally go hopped up with my little ego going, oh, you should do this because I read this.
Right.
Instead, nope, I'm going to take that energy that would be expelled in that manner, meaning just selling it. And now, no, I'm going to use it. And now you turn it inward on my own thinking, on my own thoughts and behavior.
Yes.
And the reaping of the benefits. And then people can bear witness to it happening in my life via demonstrations that occur. I can benefit from it. That's the main thing.
Yes.
From the demonstrations in my own life.
All right. Well, when you say that, one thing that comes to my mind is that doing it the other way, that it would be like going to Home Depot to get a whole bunch of home improvement supplies and then going to all your neighbors' houses and fixing their houses when they didn't even ask for it. But I didn't even touch my house. All right. Why don't you tell everyone how to be a member of the Funniest Thing Club?
Yes. We like to encourage everyone to be a member of the Funniest Thing Club. And you may already be a member of the Funniest Thing Club. Let's see. We're a group of truth enthusiasts who live each day as ambassadors of God's love. As we consciously radiate love, we perform everyday miracles and experience better than expected outcomes.
Yes.
And that's what this episode is really all about.
Right.
If you're already living this way or strive to, then you may consider yourself a member. We motivate one another by simply sharing how miracles occurred naturally in our circumstances as the result of living lovingly and expectantly.
That's right. And if you want to contribute to the show, you can go to patreon.com, funniest thing. We're just marveling at how amazing it is that Indy suggested we set this up and how amazing you all are for coming through and supporting the show the way you do. We even put on a $3 contribution a month button. When you really think about $3 over the course of a month, even in a day, what you could be spending that on, it's next to nothing, but it primes the pump of your own giving. If you're not tithing, tithing really does benefit us more than that benefits me when I circulate my money in inspired ways to bless the things that bless me. We can't say enough. It's a big part of applying this stuff within, really. It's a bold step. So go to patreon.com/funniest thing. We got a nice letter from on Patreon, one of our contributors, Katiana Falsetti. Love your name. Darrell and Ed, thank you so much for your weekly content. I look forward to listening while I walk my dogs every Monday to start the week. It is reassuring to hear about your challenges and how you shift your thinking. You both have been an inspiration. And Darrell, I enjoy your book, your thoughts, and your pictures. Best, Katiana. And thank you for letting us know about the link, Katiana. We fixed that regarding the Patreon link. So thank you, Katiana, and everyone else is contributing through patreon.com/funniest thing. Jump on. You're going to love the way you look and the way you feel. If you want to send us something, go to, you can send it to Funniest Thing, P.O. Box 1312, Culver City, California, 90232. Speaking of which, we got a beautiful 2 postcards, one from Lois Conklin. Again, go on the YouTube. You can see the postcard I'm now holding. Am I holding it the right way?
Yeah.
All right. Dear Darrell and Ed, here are some quotes about love from Leo Buscaglia for Christmas time.
Ed loves Leo Buscaglia.
That's right. You used to indulge in...
Actually, that was one of the very first books I read. I was just telling our guests when I was in the military rehabilitation center, that was there, and I read that book while I was in there as well, which is called Love.
He has come into the studio with us today to say love is life, and if you miss love, you miss life. If one wishes to know love, one must live love in action. And it says, Merry Christmas to you and your listeners, the folks at Chobo Studios. Love to all. Let's sing. Go tell it on the mountain. Love from Lois Conklin. And thank you, Lois Conklin, on your Facebook page. We really enjoyed your playing on the, what's that, harpsichord or auto harp? Auto harp, thank you.
Yes.
And also piano. You're an amazing artist and an amazing musician, and we love you. We got a postcard from Kirky, which is apparently Kirky enjoying
some winter sports.
You're going to have to go on YouTube to take a closer look if you want to see this postcard. But he says, guys, the imagination is not a state. It is the human existence itself. What does that say? William Blake.
William Blake.
I thought it said William at Lake. William Blake. Our thoughts create our existence, not the other way around, thank God. And it says, Kirky loves you. So there you go. Live from Kirky Studios. Thank you, Kirky. We love you.
All the way from Germany.
All right, we got an amazing letter.
Yes, and this just came.
It goes with the show.
Wait, this just came today, right? Yesterday.
It's from Gabriel Perez. We haven't heard from you in a while, Gabriel. It's always good to hear from you. Hi, gents. I just listened to your podcast, Welcome to Adventureland with Ray Zander. I don't even remember having that title. First, I loved her comment.
It's a great title.
Yeah, I know. Spirit did it again.
I didn't remember either, and I thought, man, that was a good title.
Spirit did it again. It says, first, I loved her comment about giving up all self-help. I'm joining the cause 100%. God could not have effed up when he made me. He made the perfection just like the Bible. He made me to perfection just like the Bible says he did. I realized that this kind of thinking means something is wrong with me. It exposed a lie that I carried within me that seeped in starting in my 20s. That is, I can't. This lie triggers I don't have the credentials. I'm not trained in that. No one will believe me. I don't have the experience. I no longer have to listen to that autoplay message that says you will fail every time I consider a new path.
This is awesome.
Now that I know the truth about me, everything in me says I can. Just for reference, Jesus said it in Matthew 17:20. Nothing will be impossible for you. I do not believe he is wrong. Thanks to both of you for launching the podcast. Had you listened to similar messages like the ones that plagued me, I would never have heard the message. Well, God would have gotten it to me, but because you were willing, he used you. I decided that I cannot hold back either. Who else is out there that needs to hear what I have to say? God wants them to hear good words too. I no longer have to hide behind those doubts when they pop up. Besides, now that the lie has been exposed that is robbing the life out of me, it's time to lock and load, Jack. I'm including an inspirational moment from Mike Singletary, Bears linebacker. Just look it up on YouTube, Mike Singletary, My Kind of Party. This is how I am hitting life from now on. Thank you guys for not backing down. It's my turn. I like this kind of party, baby. Gonna be here all day. No more weak bleep bleep for me. I'm slinging mountains from now on, brah. Gabriel.
Oh, wow.
Thank you so much, Gabriel. That's amazing.
He's got the name of an angel, for goodness sake.
I know.
And he brought us a great message. An angel means...
Yeah, messenger. Yeah.
Messenger.
Morgan Booker on YouTube, when she heard the Emmett reading, said, love this, and been reading, studying, and meditating for a few years now. Thank you so much for sharing. You never see anything like this online. You're appreciated. Namaste. Donna Amato said, brilliant. I totally agree. Thank you, Darrell and Ed. You can check out our website, darrellanded.com, for everything we do. We want to thank the chief engineer. First, let's thank chief engineer right here at Chobo Studios.
Yes.
His name's Indy Fawcett. How you doing today, buddy?
Doing great. Loving it. I'm on fire. I love it.
Oh, man, beautiful. And you want to come into Chobo Studios, go to chobostudios.com. If you want Indy to do an amazing job editing your reels and shorts and anything else you want to put online, social media, YouTube and such, go to podshuttle.io. That's what we do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you'll see it's amazing stuff.
Yes.
Thanks also to the chief engineer out in Kansas City, Kansas. The guy who really started this whole thing, started with us. He's still rolling with us. His name's Jeff Comfort.
And each week
he takes
us right into the comfort zone. Yeah.
Yes. Shout out to Silent Unity, the prayer line. This is a great way to apply within, because this is all about applying these principles again within our own life, within our own mind, within our own temple. And you want to call 800-NOW-PRAY or 800-669-7729. They have an app, the letter U, the word pray. Here's the thing about good teachers. Good teachers point us back to applying it within ourselves.
Yes.
Good teachers give us words that point us back to the truth which resides within ourselves. Good teachers remind us, they draw it out from within ourselves. And that's exactly what happens every time I call silent unity, when hearing them pray affirmatively. This is a big part. For Emmett Fox, prayer was everything, right? I've been reading his bio, thanks to you.
Yeah.
And affirmative prayer is everything. It changes everything because it changes the consciousness which we are creating our lives. Once we do that, prayer changes us first. When we do so, just reach out if you're struggling to find that joy, that peace, that well-being. If you're running on fear and having trouble unhooking from it, like Darrell and I, we use it.
We use it all the time.
Is a great tool for that. So today's show is called Apply Within with Valerie Reeves.
Yes.
It says today we have the ability to access the knowledge we seek instantly and at our fingertips. It's wonderful and inspiring to listen to podcasts and audiobooks on the topic of spirituality and personal development. The same is true for reading books as well as attending workshops and sermons. However, it is not necessary that you obtain more spiritual knowledge in order to experience powerful demonstrations in your life now. Simply applying whatever spiritual knowledge you have in your circumstances, it's far more valuable than obtaining a whole mountain of correct spiritual doctrine. On this episode, Darrell and Ed give examples of how, when it comes to spiritual knowledge, a little goes a long way when we apply it within our own thinking and behavior. And during the second segment, Joie de vivre, Valerie Reeves from Center for Spiritual Living in Redondo Beach and a whole lot of other things joins us with today's reading, which will be Let God In.
Yes.
What do you think? Should we go to breaths?
Yeah. We got 3 breaths, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll share an affirmation first that I came up with, which was going to be the breaths, because I was realizing a lot of my inner guidance, because I've been applying this within. If you listen to the show, you know that I'm really transforming my relationship, changing my position in life with regards to this public education I've been a part of for so long, and really because it's been the one elephant in the room where I've been compromising myself, feeling suffering, like just suffering for the sake of my good, trying to get, like saying that suffering and bad feeling is worth it for this reason. But what I've learned more and more about from these principles is no suffering is required. So I've really putting my money where my mouth is and applying this stuff to that. And as a result, I am just learning so much about, because I hear the voice of my guidance and it's just telling me, let us take over, just relax and breathe. And so I've been more and more, my visualizations have been about just having fun.
Yes.
I had this crazy going to sleep the other day. I had this visualization of me walking naked out of my house, walking through the town, but not in the culture where like people are like, oh my God, this man's naked, but like feeling so unencumbered by any self-consciousness or anything, uncompromised. And I'm dreaming so I could fly and it's joyous. And it was really just me visiting, flying over the ocean, but feeling so free. And another time I was just visualizing myself eating frozen yogurt from your favorite place. For some reason, that's just what came to me. But as I did that, my spirit lifted and all these other awarenesses started to come in because I wasn't trying so hard to get it spiritually, And so that's when I texted you, God is playing my song and I am playing along.
Yes.
So that was going to be the breath,
and you could use that as your breath.
God is playing my song and I am playing along, because we have to play along. We have to be like a child to get into the kingdom. Did you want to read that before we do
because you made me want to read this because of what you shared. It's all your fault.
Are you having a gratitude attack?
No, but anyway, what Ed just shared made me read. I want to read these 2 sentences from a book called Only Believe, and it's by Sue Sicking.
Yeah.
And the full title and the subtitle is How to Live in the Empire of Love. Oh, man.
Wow.
Isn't that awesome? Only Believe, How to Live in the Empire of Love. So in her book, going along with today's show, now this is how this stuff works. We've really been learning to trust God and meditate. You don't have to meditate on specifics, folks. Like Ed said, well, I'll just let the cat out of the bag. Ed and I got asked to give the talk on Christmas Day on the words joy and power
at Unity of Santa Barbara.
At Unity of Santa Barbara. So, we have ideas of what we're going to say, whatever. And this morning after my morning routine, I started thinking about it. And as I started thinking about it, I started thinking, I better come up with I should be getting better prepared for
Right.
but the higher self is, Darrell, you live this stuff, it's going to all come together. So then I started meditating.
Right.
And instead of meditating and, God, give me some things on joy, I just said, okay, I'm just going to meditate. All of a sudden, the idea in my mind started going, wait, I just get enjoyment out of talking to people, whether it's a group of people or doing our show.
Yeah.
So I just started enjoying that.
There it is.
I just started enjoying that feeling. And ironically, when I want to get my phone to call Ed to start coming here, someone had just texted me, hey, can you fill in? There's something going on tonight and we need a speaker. And this is the crazy part, folks. I just meditated on how much I love Joy, but this is what you got to watch for.
How much you enjoy speaking, too.
How much I enjoy speaking. But this is what you got to watch for. When I got that test and saw it, I thought, do I really want to do this tonight?
Right.
And my mind goes, wait a minute, you just had that great. And I just said, yeah, I'll be there. But this is the thing. It's like that little voice comes in. I'm just going to read this line because it goes along with what you said. And it goes along with my example,
Right.
which is faith believing. I got to put on my eyeglasses for my iPhone. Okay, because it's so tiny. Faith believing in spite of evidence is more important than the deadly weighted life of should I, what will they think?
Right.
Ideas, which is what Gabriel was telling us.
Yes.
Spiritual life is not listening to the murmurings of the world, but to that inner voice.
Yes.
And then after I read this, which I just grabbed last minute, it reminded me of the Bible verse from Matthew. Ed and I were talking about this on the ride here, which is chapter 5, verse 36.
Right.
Where Jesus grabs the leader in this household.
Right.
And he grabs him and pulls him aside because the daughter in the household is sick, possibly dying right there. And everyone's going, it's too late. This guy shows up late. What a jerk. What's the use? Why bother?
Right.
But he grabs the leader. And the whole thing is the leader of the household means the leader within us. There's a leader within us. And then
it's our power. It's our voice. It's what we're
the
believing
real
and what
voice.
we're really speaking into existence, whether we're using words or not. What we're saying is going on.
Yes. But there's also all the little murmurings that we hear in the news or murmurings in our own mind or murmurings of someone who's long passed, like a mom or a dad, or even if they're still the murmurings of doubt and fear and worry, and they're murmuring. He grabs the leader, the higher of ourselves, and he says to him, and it's great because in the Bible, it's not in that old English, this one part. It's like it's like your friend or your dad or someone you could believe in that you really respect goes, don't listen to them, just trust me.
Yeah.
Don't listen to them, just trust me.
Yeah.
We all got to just trust, like you said, God's playing my song, God's playing your song. And now we're playing, we got to choose to play along.
Right. Two things. I listened to Reverend Ike today, and he was talking about the parable of Jesus healing the man that wanted to be put into the waters to be healed. And he was saying that Jesus met him in the temple. And again, the temple is our mind.
Yeah.
And the Christ resides within us. So Jesus met him in his mind. The true divine sense of, the true divine, not just sense, the true divine, the truth of his being met him in his temple. And it says, what did he say? You have been made whole.
Yes.
Yeah, so he said, you have been made whole. And Reverend Ike points out that in the more exoteric version of this, people think that there's a special guy named Jesus, and he, in that moment, made him whole.
Yeah.
But the esoteric, and really what I believe is the truth, that really, because you know the truth, it sets you free. The truth in it is Jesus was, the voice with the Christ within met him in his temple, which is why you have to apply it within. You must go within, and told him, reminded him,
yes,
you have been made whole. You were not made sick. None of the things you've been believing about yourself that have led you to believe that you were even sick have ever been true. He's not saying right now you've been made whole by me, the magician. He's reminding him of the truth. You were made whole. And then he says, go forth and don't sin again, meaning don't believe this nonsense anymore.
Yeah, that you've been telling yourself, which is doubtful thoughts, negative thoughts about yourself.
Yeah, diminishing thoughts. And I've been going through this myself. The other day when I was in the ocean, maybe we should just do those breaths. God is playing my song and I'm playing along since it's going along with everything we're saying.
We'll do the other breaths next time.
Yeah. So, but I just want to share. I was sitting in the ocean. I'm listening to his voice and it's going, let us take the lead. So I just started breathing because I was stressing about something. I'm in this beautiful ocean. There's no one around. It's just me and I'm stressing. So I just said, all right, I let go. I felt the ocean. I felt something and then forgot about everything. The best wave of this day came straight to me. I rode it to the beach. I get out because it was time to go to meet you.
Oh, this was great.
I pick up a sand dollar, a full, complete sand dollar. I sent Indy the image if he wants to post it later for you on YouTube.
Yeah, it'll drop in the video, so you'll see it on YouTube.
The only reason I picked it up because it made me think of a friend of mine at work. I found one recently, and I gave it to her. She's like Hawaiian, and she loves surfing. Her family surfs, and I knew for some reason I gave it to her. She said, wow, it's so rare to find a whole one nowadays, right? And this was like a month ago. So I found another one. So we're on break, so I took a picture to send to her, and I'm going, well, why am I bringing this? But I said, just like you, why am I even bringing this?
Man, this is silly.
I should throw it away. I should leave it back here. So I take a picture, send it to her, and then I think to myself, something I like to do sometimes, why don't I just look up what's the spiritual meaning of sand dollars?
Yes.
I just thought of that because usually when I think about it, when something unusual catches my attention, I like to look that up on the internet, And what I found was, and remember, I'm stepping out boldly in all these ways, sand dollars can represent many things spiritually, including choosing your own path, strength, flexibility, and freedom. And then this is all at the top of Google where you don't have to
don't have to dig deep.
Yeah. And this is... Dude, come on. Choosing your own path. Sand dollars represent freedom and the ability to walk away from environments or people that are no longer working for you.
Isn't that incredible?
It was so incredible. So, I don't know. Maybe we should I think we should sing along. It's almost Christmas, man.
Yeah, we're going to do the sing-along
The top one, right?
The top one? All right. Well,
because look, God's playing my song and I'm playing along, so let's do the song.
Yes, we're going to do the song that we have here, folks, as our...
Let me just say this as we do this, then we're going to go to break. It says, Mike Dooley said, to think what you have not thought is your real work. Prentice Mulford said, whatever the mind is set upon, or whatever it keeps most in view, that it is bringing to it, and the continual thought or imagining must at last take form and shape in the world of the seen and tangible things. So we have to go within and use our imagination to focus on the things that we desire.
Yes.
The only way we found to do that is practice your morning routine. Get up, read some inspiring things, do some meditation. Then because our consciousness, this is what my guidance keeps telling me. Just listen to us. Let us take the lead. You think about fun things. What we're doing, we're not wrapped up in the things you're wrapped up in. The Christ within us is not caught up in these struggles. It reminds us who we are. We get an elevated perspective on life, and from there speak the truth. From there decide what you're going to do. From there decide how you're going to live.
That's the other side of our title, which is apply within, which remembering that the outside that we're seeing is not the cause of our grumbling or our happiness.
That's right.
It's our inner vision, what we apply within, that we're applying with our own imagination, is always being reflected back to us. It's like the movie projector versus what we see on the screen.
Yes.
And if you want to change what you're experiencing in your life, if you were watching a movie, you don't tear down the screen
That's right.
and think the movie's going to change. No, we got to change the reel in the projector. And that doesn't take an act of will. It just takes a willingness to let go of the will and trust that God, or whatever you call it, a higher power, whatever this thing is that you tap into, angels, the universe, that is working and always working on your behalf. A smiling man is a confident man, because he's confident that all things are working together for his good.
Yeah. It's like your willingness has gotten just is like a dog that's chewing on something that's not good, and it's like won't let it go. So first your will. First we relax and become willing.
We pet
and then
the dog.
Our will just becomes a gentle
Yes.
decision to go with the flow and to go about our day.
And wagging our tail.
Go back to eating dog biscuits and good things that treat us well and going on our walk. So let's do this. Because there was a guru by the name of Robert Palmer.
Yes.
And he did his morning routine. And man, he was blown away.
Yes.
He applied this stuff within. He came out of his meditation and he penned these lyrics. It's a very little known fact. So let's take a deep breath.
It's so little that you probably only heard it here. Little known fact.
He said, I might as well face it. I'm addicted to love.
I might as well face it. I'm addicted to love.
I might as well face it. I'm addicted to love. Yes. That goes perfectly what Ike said too. He said, you have to have faith and love to move forward. You said it earlier. Love to you is synonymous with joy.
Yeah.
You must have joy with your faith, with your these two. If that joy is missing, the faith is not coming from this amazing, expansive place that we're describing and that many of the mystics describe.
No, that's the magnetic force in our imagination is when love is in the mix.
That's the beak wetter.
I learned this. Now I'm going to go work on everyone else's house, but mine's perfect.
All right, coming up next, Joie de Vivre, Valerie Reeves from the Center for Spiritual Living in Redondo Beach. At least that's where we met her. Joins us with today's reading, Let God In, for crying out loud. Thank you for listening to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed, live from Chobo Studios.
Well, we made it to the second segment of today's episode, Apply Within, with Valerie Reeves.
Yes, and we actually have Valerie Reeves live in the studio. We met at the Center for Spiritual Living in Redondo Beach on a day when I happened to have the freedom to take a drive. Didn't know where I was headed, just followed my intuition. Ended up at the 11 a.m. service you all have over there. We met. And we always know when the guest is right because immediately you're like, that'll be fun. It wasn't like, so how are you today?
Hey, I'm doing fabulous, trying to blend. So
yes.
Here we go.
We've all got our sunglasses on.
Got the shades.
And
that's great.
Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about what you do over at the Center for Spiritual Living over there?
So I like to say I'm the putty that kind of fills in the cracks. So
Yes.
I'm kind of a chameleon, and I blend wherever I go and fill in just any gaps that are there. So I am the executive director.
Right.
Also do some teaching and training of classes. I am doing an intentions workshop on January 1st. It's a free class. Anybody who wants to come at the Redondo Beach Center at 12:30 on January 1st, 2023. Is that crazy?
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yes. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and everything I do is fun. It's playful.
Yeah.
Get some Play-Doh out, let go of the old, get ready for the new, set the intentions.
Yeah.
I've done a little bit of everything. I always say my resume reads like a novel, from hypnosis to HR manager to you just pretty much name it, and I think I've done it. So
that's fabulous.
It's pretty fun.
I just love the way everyone comes from so many different backgrounds. I mean, this is life because we all, I work in special education. I have been for 25 years. And the thing that drives what I do is the recognition that within everyone there are these perfect gifts, and they don't look like what someone says they should be.
Right.
God put them there to serve a purpose, and it sounds like the way you're able to use. For spiritual people to have someone who is organized and can handle that part is a huge blessing, huh?
Yeah, I like to think so. I like to think that my gift is seeing people in their highest light so that I can help them get to that space. So the more we can see the good in people and see them in a higher light, then they step into that.
Yes.
You know what's amazing, and you are here by divine appointment because Darrell said something about applying something. In my mind, the title, like that word lit up, and I was like, there's a title there. And then I thought of on this shop signs, it says apply within for a job, right? You apply. And then I was like, but we apply within ourselves. And you were telling us about how, because you have an HR background, about how, tell us about the firing with a smile story, because that is amazing.
Well, where one door closes, millions of other doors open.
Yes.
And sometimes it's just not a fit. So as an HR manager, I would hire people, but I would also fire people. And so bringing people into my office and say, the decision is final and I've got some great news for you. We're going to let you go today. So I know that something wonderful is unfolding and that there's a better fit for you somewhere. And I would get people giving me a hug and saying, thank you so much. And knowing that sometimes we stay somewhere too long. And instead of following our heart and trusting that intuition that says, go here, go there, I've seen people stay in the same job that they hated forever. So it's like, don't do that to you. Why would you do that to you? Love yourself to the next level. So
you came to talk to me to tell me that, because I've been telling people, I even told my friend who's a teacher in our district, because what I do is inclusion. Like what I do is, that's how I was an inclusion specialist before. And then all this stuff changed and I got put back into this teaching position, which I wasn't never what I really kind of wanted to do. But in that environment, there was a problem in that campus with inclusivity, like really including our kids. So like God sent me there, and I've cleared up God through me and with a lot of other things, I've cleared that up. And I'm like telling people, and it's so helpful to say it out loud that, look, I did my thing. I helped clean this place up, but now they just need a standard resource teacher. I don't like doing it. I can do it really well. Because I just have like something I never thought I had, like an iron will. I never thought of myself in this light, but like when someone says that's what I got to do, I find a way to do it and I get it done.
No matter how bad it feels.
And it's not using my talents, so it's like I've been talking a lot about angels, and especially since, who was it that said, it was Reverend Blair Tabor who said, it means message, not even just messenger.
That's right, message.
That the real angels are the messages we receive. So getting this message from you right now is a huge angelic blessing for me. So thank you for that.
Yes. Well, I know when we first spoke and I mentioned I also do hypnosis, and you're like, I just was thinking about that.
Yeah, because Darrell and I were talking about that. Yes.
And it's like we get hypnotized to the ways of the world, and that's just, same thought, different day, same thought, different day. So it's like, let me have a conscious thought and let me be clear about my intention of the next step and the next step, and be in that gratitude space. So what would I love? And
you know what? You are hitting the nail on the head for me, because what I thought, like, what do you guys say about the God of your own, like something changing your idea about God? Like you always talk about this, like that God you're thinking about.
Oh, yeah, because someone had to share it with me when I was first learning, like, hey, did you ever think about praying or meditation? I'm thinking, really, I need something that works. I mean, God, really? And the guy just said, yes, look, the God that you're having a problem with, that's not the God we're talking about. And it was like, wait a minute, I could look at there's another way to like have a different perspective about this. Like it let me off the hook, and it made me also very interested.
Yeah.
Curious. Okay, well, what is this?
Yeah, and I think of God now, like, as a result of what I'm going through. Because, like, I've applied this stuff in so many areas, but I had this, like, elephant in the room where that I was. And I'm doing the show, and it's like, I'm a little embarrassed because in the back of my mind, I'm not really applying this in that area, And so it's like, it was killing the sense of authority to speak upon it if I'm not applying it. So I've started doing that in a big way. And now I keep thinking of, and I'm not like a Bible scholar, but I keep thinking of like the one who sent me. And I realize God is the one who I'm speaking on behalf of, who, like, that for me, whatever that is, that I'm now representing as my highest authority in that moment is my God, right? Like that's, so I realized what was getting lumped in with God for me was the voice of, like, my mother was the voice of my household, and I have less judgment about her now, so I don't want to think that it's coming from that. But I've been getting glimpses back into my own development where there's some voices of fear from my parents got wrapped up in what was God, right? But it was so strongly like wound back up into my subconscious that I couldn't pull that God and that voice apart. Like it just recently, I hear that voice of the spiritual guidance, and then I'll do something, and for a moment, the voice of fear will charade itself, almost sounds like the same voice. And I was like, the other day, something happened. I did something and it was like, we didn't even want you to do that. And all of a sudden I was like, wow, the voice, that same voice that was so loving, now it's saying that. But then all of a sudden I listen and the other voice goes, that's not us. That's your fear. You've just been listening to it so long. That's been your guidance, right? So it's so cool to hear someone from your position talking. You know what I mean? Like when God shows you like if someone is HR, like is saying, because I have this like HR person in my own brain that sees me going like, dude, we're wasting your talents having you over there dying, doing something that you don't love. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. If we're not loving it, then we're not bringing our full self.
Yeah.
And when we step into fear, I have an acronym for fear that I like to use for getting every available resource. And the biggest resource is that God within. Not some, deity up on high somewhere, but that God energy spirit that flows through each one of us.
Right.
So really tapping into that goodness, that godness, and stepping away from fear. And our theme for this year is living out loud.
Oh, I love that.
Isn't that fun?
Wow.
So living out loud, and it's like, all right, what would I love? And asking yourself that every day, every moment, and trusting that intuition and that inner knower that just knows what direction to go.
Yeah, Darrell mentioned that inner leader. Like I think that's what, because that's like I'm speaking on power on Sunday, and I looked into Fillmore's definition of power, which is like rooted in your voice and in your vocal cords, and in that our words only have power when we spiritualize our consciousness. And not oddly, but perfectly enough, I lost my voice this week. And it brought up so much like, wow. So when you say living out loud, because that's what's changing for me. When I wasn't using my authority of my voice to say, I know what's right for me, then my reality was reflecting that and I didn't see anyway. But now that I'm speaking it, the whole picture is changing. So it's amazing you say that about living out loud.
Yeah. Well, I always say visualize, verbalize, and feelingly believe it. So if we can take that time to step into the picture and feel it and get to that real gratitude space. I did an Abraham Hicks cruise back in March. So that was great. It was a birthday present from my children, which was phenomenal.
Wow.
So I did a 7-day cruise, and the most brilliant thing I heard was from a young lady in the hot tub, because I'm just there thinking about all the things that we're talking about. And I said, I get a little bit lazy with the meditation. And she said, make it an amuse-bouche, like a little sample of a sampler. So just a little sampler, and start with that, where you're just taking time. God is, I am.
Yeah, yes.
And then add to it and add to it and add to it. Because then you're just going to want to be there in that meditation.
Wow. Yeah, that's huge.
You guys
That's
both
really
said
big.
something. I almost, we were thinking of reading this, like you hear if you're a regular listener to our show, and like our guest, Valerie, just witnessed. We have an idea of what we're going to read, and then we have some things we think we're going to read, and then there's some things we grabbed on the way out the door. But this, going along with Live Out Loud, this is from a book. We actually had this woman on our show as a guest, Ann Sermons Gillis. It's called Words Make a Difference. If you want to get it, it's available everywhere you get books. And she talks about trust, and you're saying living out loud. And this goes along with everything that both of you have just said. What is trust and how does it work? And here are the examples. Trust is knowing that there is a guidance system moving through all things, especially in my life, and that this force is benevolent. Trust is the faith that life is an open love affair and not a dead-end experience.
Right.
Trust is being willing to jump into life full throttle, knowing the universe will stand behind us in our outrageous passion, providing resources, support, ideas, and chance encounters that bring our contributions into full expression. Trust is letting go of the personal mind and its chatter, because we know that there is a greater mind that can run the universe much better than we can. Trust involves looking beyond circumstances and appearances into the very center of well-being.
Yeah.
We saw a movie. I'm not going to be embarrassed to share it. I almost wasn't going to share it. Maybe It's actually 2 movies, folks.
I watched them both in the same day.
My wife thinks around. She's like, "You guys are nuts."
How do you think my 20-year-old son thinks when he sees me like curled up crying with my laptop on the computer?
We watched the movie. You can see it on Netflix for free if you have Netflix. It's called Tall Girl, and the sequel's Tall Girl 2.
Yeah.
And these are like those high school coming of age movies.
Sure.
But man, it hits on all these topics. The first one is learning not to listen to the voices from without and what we imagine those people are thinking about us. Then the second movie is now that we're stepping out. And this is the good news. We often refer to it like Emmett Fox, the devil's last ditch. That now once she's stepping out now into this, her real, what she would love to do, now it's learning how to not listen to that negative chatter within. And the brilliant part of how the movie was made, and I'm sure it was intentional because otherwise it wouldn't have been this way, the fearful voice within her head, when the audience, we would hear it, she would hear it, I'm not good enough. I just got lucky. It was clear that that voice did not sound like her voice. And later on, as the movie progresses and she learns to now be the kind and loving person and let the leader speak within, it's her voice. It's the sound of her voice. So it makes it clear that these fearful chatter, like even you had in that awareness, was, wait a minute, that's not you.
Yeah, it's us mimicking someone else.
Yes, mimicking someone else.
Yeah, that whole inner committee that we kind of tap into.
It's not us.
Right?
Right.
Terry Cole Whitaker wrote the wonderful book, What You Think of Me Is None of My
Yes,
Business.
we love her.
The title really says it all. What you think of me, not my business. Unless I make it my business and I make your opinion more important than mine, which I don't want to do that. Let me be okay with me, because other people aren't usually okay with themselves. So they want to just project everything. And it's like, okay, let's just be at that love space. And see people in their highest light and see ourselves in our higher light.
Right.
Do that beautiful mirror work that you talked about. We talked earlier about mirror work.
Yeah,
so.
I mentioned this probably on a couple other episodes. One of the hardest thing, a Marine who shared this with me, he said, this is the hardest thing I was able to do. I hope you could pull it off, Pizarro. And I go, oh no, what's this? He said, I want you to look in the mirror every morning, look into your eyes and say, I love you, Darrell. And man, it is the hardest thing to do because of the voices that go, oh, this is silly. And then voices of fear, like embarrassment or whatever those silly. But I'm telling you, folks, if you try this, I don't do it all the time because it's hard to do. I do my meditation, I do my readings, but now that I'm blabbing, just like Ed's been blabbing, like I don't want to be embarrassed and not practicing what I preach.
Right.
But this is good because it's forcing me to be more aware and practice it more, and I've been doing it again.
Right.
And now this is going to make me up my game even more. But man, just telling yourself, looking at yourself in the mirror, in your own eyes, and saying, I love you, Darrell. You could feel the power come back into you, and it's a tender power because it has so much love and compassion. It's like, wow, why do I deny myself of this?
Yeah. Well, and even because when I first started doing that was when I first came to Science of Mind and listening to Louise Hayes, and she's got a beautiful book on mirror work. I would go to the mirror and I would just cry because I couldn't see it. I did not like myself. I did not love myself. And it took a lot of layers and shedding that and forgiving myself, because it's easy to forgive other people for me, but to forgive myself for things
I'm
that
the
I've
same.
done.
I'm the same
Yes,
way.
yes. I was talking to my brother last night because I like to make my family do a Zoom meeting once in a while so that I can see their face.
Yeah.
And so we had a Zoom meeting scheduled. They're back in Nebraska, and my brother was in his car because his intuition said, don't go on the road because it is closed. But his ego mind self said, I want to get home. I want to go. I want to go. I want to go. I can do it. I can do it. And then he got stuck in a snowbank and thought he was going to get stuck sleeping in his car all night. And I said, I am not seeing that. I see you somewhere safe and out of that car. And about 5 minutes later, somebody pulled up and was able to get him out of the snowbank and get him to a space to be safe. Yeah. So our intuition tells us one thing, And if we just, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Right.
I know Shaka Gawain used to say, if we're not listening to that still small voice, then it'll just get louder and louder and louder until
Yeah,
it
100%.
knocks us off our feet.
Yeah. That's what's been happening
So
with
tune in.
me because I can't stand getting sick all the time,
Yeah.
mentally or emotionally anymore. And it's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's like,
Well, and I like that you shared that story in the break room because it reminded me and this helped me too early on because some people say, well, I don't ever hear my intuition. I go, oh, you hear your intuition, but you only call it, I had a feeling. What do you mean? I had a feeling I should have stayed in a hotel instead of pushed myself to drive through. But I made this decision. I'm going to stick to it. I had a feeling I didn't need to get this done today on my to-do list, but I thought I'd power drive, and now it's created something else. But it doesn't mean we're punished by it. It just means it's another lesson. And even like with your brother, God, I believe that God doesn't do spite work. I mean, this energy, this love does not do spite work. So when we make mistakes, we can learn. And it's just always learning. The whole schooling is learning to be more loving and learning to be more aware of this guidance.
Yeah, and drop the punishment step.
Yes,
because
drop
God never
the
does that. There's no punishment step.
No.
The punishment comes from how bad it feels to like disconnect from our intuition, but that's enough. No more. Don't pile anything more on that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this book spiritual power tools. Someone recommended this
Support for your soul. That's free. We got that
from
recommended
Jane Elizabeth Hart
by Greg Barrett, who was a guest on our show. You can get this book for free if
it's
you
go to cfenlightenment.org and you can order it. She'll send it to you. And she says you have spent lifetime after lifetime developing your intellect. Now you're ready to use your intelligence in a higher way. At this point, you must develop an advanced style of thought, which is your intuition. The intuition is actually a higher faculty of the mind, and it will open up an entirely new world of learning. Once awakened by your yearning, your intuitive mind begins to activate your consciousness. Developing your intuition is the next phase of your soul's evolution. When your intuitive mind takes charge, it actually is developing your willingness to listen to it and actualize it as a reality. When your intuitive mind takes charge, it enables you to have a deeper understanding of your life circumstances. It grants you a wider vision that is available through the small peephole of your intellect. As you transition from intellect to intuition, you will shed your personality attachments and have greater identification with your soul. Daily meditation is the gateway to your intuition because it really is, getting yourself to listen to it. There was a great chart in here. I don't know if I can find it now, but it was just showing how this works. And what I was going to say is, for me, this is different. I don't cry when I say I love you because I've been doing it again. My voice goes, I'm not listening to you. What you have to say does not even matter. Because I'm recovering, no, I'm the authority here.
Right.
I'm telling you, not you. Not like you're just running fearfully. You're like a kid who's fearfully running away. And I'm like the parent here, and I'm telling you, I love you. And that voice is like, it's a numbness almost to my own power, my own voice. And it's changing. It's transforming. It's beginning to listen. And because, again, the one who sent me, it's taken a lot of letting go of this. I thought I had no willpower, but I had an iron will clinging to this fear. And the joy that comes from because this part of me goes, I want to do what I want to do. Because it's also I developed this habit. No one around me seemed to care what I thought. So I always had to go off on my own and do it on my own. And it's that other kind of willfulness. But because I had this experience now of when I listen to that voice, but I don't really do anything other than just what I used to think of doing anything. I just, it's telling me to relax and not do this right now. When I follow it, the feeling of goodness, because it takes all the weight off of my will so that I can just relax and let my will is a very simple thing. It's not, because that's one thing that Fillmore talks about power. It's not something we wrestle from someone else. Because I was wrestling, subtly, I've been wrestling with it from other people. Now it's just a relaxed. Your will isn't meant to be strained. It's just, which way do I want to go?
Yeah.
And I will it to be so. Let it be. Yeah.
Let it be. Yes.
Yeah.
Follow that inner knower, taking that time to really tune in.
Yeah.
And so challenging to do with all the distractions that we have because we like to have distractions to keep us from that. But when we start really getting immersed in it,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it just feels so good. And to be immersed in gratitude for everything that is.
Right. Like Butterworth said, I'm so in the past been so used to being concerned and having so much urgency that I don't even know if there's actual urgency or concern, or I'm just bringing that to the table because I'm so used to acting from that place. You know what I'm saying? So I'm unlearning this whole be concerned and everything, and actually trust that we're in a loving universe.
Yes.
I see you starting to reach for that reading.
Well, I was
Yeah.
I was looking for it because, and I'm thinking, okay, you all sent me a reading to read, and I have some resistance, and
we love it.
I love the resistance, and whatever resists persists, right? So there's something in here, and definitely things for me to learn. So this is Marianne Williams, and I pour light on any troubling circumstance. Great. God disentangles any dysfunctional energy that pervades a situation when I place it in his hands. So I have an issue being a female saying his hands because I would say into its hands, into its energy. And maybe you all can express how because as a female to see, put God as a male really takes it away from me because to me, God and I are one, and so is one.
Right.
And I can go Mother, Father, God. It's all one. It's all good. It's all part of that wonderful cosmic soup. And yet some of the languaging of the olden days is how I'm going to say it, is not language that works so much for me. And so to make it more user-friendly for me.
Yeah, well, we are firm encouragers of using words that help you utilize, like this whole episode is about. So you could apply and digest even a thimbleful of it. You're allowed to use the words that suit you best because obviously I want the medicine that's in here. But, and this is in everyone's case who does this, it's something to applaud, but I'm not going to let my little resistance to a certain word make me throw this whole book out. Like, because, even I read stuff in the Bible, but I don't throw the whole Bible out. You know what I mean? I find it's like there was something shared with me. Take what you could use and leave the rest for later.
Someone right now is listening and is so happy to hear you give them permission to do that as well, because we all need that permission.
Yes,
like you
we
said.
need the permission.
Yes.
If it's not connecting with our divinity, then there's nothing sacred about these books or these, you know what I'm saying? Like the sacredness is our divinity so we appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, if you don't like the whipped cream on top of your carrot cake, just cut it off and eat the cake.
And if you don't like the carrot cake, throw it away and eat the whipped cream.
Well, and as you said, the God is of your understanding.
Yes.
I know my dad used to say because he was a farmer, get out on the tractor. That's when he felt the most spiritual in that connection with God.
Right.
So the God of your understanding, whether it be just that energy within, whether it be nature or love, I would probably substitute. I place it in love hands.
Yeah, that's great.
In my mind's eye, I pour light on my troubling circumstance. I loosen my attitudinal grip. I will see it as a lesson in miracles as God displays its, in lieu of he, its infinite power to turn darkness into light. I no longer hold on to the problem, for God itself shall make it right. My emotional constriction does not serve.
That's key.
That last line.
Emotional constriction does not serve. It doesn't work. We were talking about this morning about love and control, because sometimes we mistake controlling things because it's love. I'm going to control, or even in a family. This is all just. But no, they're not synonymous at all. It's either love or it's not, and control is fear. There was a saying I heard early on because I used to think I had to organize everything in it. Darrell, control is not the solution. Control is the problem. How could that be the problem? Because that's how I make things safe.
Right.
If I don't, control is and now it's like,
Yeah.
It's funny that you said about that little bit of fear with even reading these positive things. I could turn them against myself, because this morning I read something great and I went, and it was, ignore evil rather than to actively combat it. Ignore evil rather than actively trying to combat it, meaning argue with it, tangle with it. Like it could be in my own mind. It could be because my neighbor parked in front of my house for 8 days. Whatever it is, the tendency is to think I have to combat it. So I go, no, I am just going to ignore it, put it in God's hands. But then,
Indy's Hot Pocket went
Indy's
off.
Hot Pocket.
Indy, what kind of Hot Pocket you on today?
I'm back on the salt and vinegar this week.
Beautiful.
Salt vinegar hot pocket. Never heard of such a thing. But what's crazy is I read this, I got relief, and then I did an Eddie B.
What'd you do?
I went, well, I can't ignore everything, because what if someone's like beating? I made up like horrible scenarios. Shouldn't I go in there and I go, Darrell, that's not happening now. I had to remind myself, wait, that's probably never going to happen if you continue in your mind within to ignore problems that you perceive and trying to combat them. You're probably never even going to bear witness to anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah.
But do you see how my mind even took such a good saying, like ignore evil rather than actively combating it?
Of course. Yeah.
And went, but there's got to be times where you
Of
should.
course.
You can't just ignore. But yes, if you live this way, then wherever you go is going to be holy ground.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. It's not ignoring so much as it is redirecting our reality. I mean, it is ignoring. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going against what you're saying. But when I hear you say that, what I realize is we're not ignoring the problem. We're just going back to the recognition of what is real.
It
Right?
means I'm ignoring the perception that this is somehow going to...
Which is an illusion, but it seems so real.
Instead of allowing this little thing I'm seeing to spark my morbid expectancy, my little imagination to go down a horrible, bad movie, just, and now, you know what I mean? Redirect that energy to, no, God's going to. And you can make up a better story.
That's exactly
instead of the nightmare.
So true. Well, and going to that wonderful space where you are aware of what you focus on expands. If I keep focusing on that little thing, it's just going to keep getting bigger, bigger, bigger.
Yeah.
So let me focus on what it is I would love, and that things are always working out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our mind is a focusing mechanism. So the only thing we know is what's going on in our mind until we connect with the divine, and then we're connected to this whole thing. So when you say that, it's like, it's just in our mind, because all we can see through is the lens of our own mind. So what we focus on, it's a magnifying mechanism, and we're so, like, life didn't turn into this bad place, but our whole mind is just blinded by that one little tiny thing that is so insignificant that no one else even knows. Like, I got this awareness recently. The angels were like, we didn't even know. Like, I finally said, I'm having a struggle, and the inner voice was like, well, we didn't know you were thinking that. That doesn't even exist in our reality. So that's what I realized. That's the positive version of confession, is to acknowledge when you're feeling bad, because no one else knows it's there, because it's not even real.
Oh my God, can I confess something?
What?
Do it.
Okay, so we're also confessing to ourselves when we see something. So I think the thing about the car parked 8 days is because what happened was last weekend, we have alternate side of street parking in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And in front of my house, we have a very small parking space. And if you park if you don't hit it, just a car can tiny little
close,
Volkswagen can barely fit in it. So if you're like a truck or something, you're in my driveway, and then it's like, I can't even get it. You know, it's just annoying.
Right.
So, I've always been like this little bit of control about that space. If they don't know how to park in it right, which is horrible. It's silly, but it affects you. You know, these little things. Look for these things, folks. I don't care. I'll fall on my sword for our viewers.
Sure.
But but anyway, so a car was parked there, and it's a neighbor. And the first thought was, why did she leave her car here? Because she's got like 3 spaces in front of their house. And I'm like, oh, no, they just did that because in so many days they'd have to move it. So they just want to be able to park it beyond the day.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm
so you're like thinking all this stuff.
Which is all crap.
Stressing you out.
Stressful thinking. So I had to let go of this. I knew, like, I don't want to live with this little thing. I don't want to see her car and go, ooh, what can I do?
Right.
I should tell her. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I'm going to tell her.
Right.
No, I'm not going to. I knew none of that works. I know enough that none of that works, folks. So I started help. Darrell, what would help you in this? Because I want to be at peace. What's more important, peace of mind
Right.
or hell? So all of a sudden the thought came, if this was like, let's say Ed was going on a trip and he hasn't, because he's in Santa Monica or whatever, there's no parking, and he needed his park. Can I park my car in your driveway? I go, well, you can't park in the driveway, but guess what? If you park it in front of my house on Friday, we don't have to move
like it was a good idea.
We don't have to move
Inspired
it
idea for a
till
friend.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then he'd say, well, what about your trash cans? Because that was another thing. Where are you going to put your trash? Don't worry, I'll figure out where to put my trash cans.
Right.
And because I changed her to Ed, all that tension went away to the point where I started thinking, you know what? I'm glad she's parked there because she's got a tiny little car. And now it's like keeping like these big bozos out. And it was amazing. So you could use these positive, because really, if it was you or Ed who said, oh, shoot, could I park there? I know it's
Did she stay there for the whole time?
Yeah, she stayed there for the whole time, but it didn't bother me. Because on day 2 was when I had to let go of this whole thing because I didn't want it to.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that switch.
Yeah.
It really was a game changer.
That is a game changer.
Later on when I saw the car, and then the car was gone, and part of me went, oh, man. Like I was hoping it would stay even longer. I mean, it was crazy how my mind fell in love with it so much.
Situation.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So where are you?
Nice.
We're going to get ready soon to take this whole show home. So, but I know you have some things to share before we go. What do you have there, by the way?
Well, this is actually some of my favorite quotes.
Oh, let's hear 'em.
So Viktor Frankl said, between stimulus and response, there is a grace. In that grace is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So it's like that quick second before because there's react and respond. And many times we get into that reaction mode like we did with that. And it's like, how can I respond appropriately rather than get into that reaction mode?
Right.
I think of it like going to a doctor's office. If they give you medication, they say, oh, you have the reaction, it's negative. Where if they say, oh, you're responding, it's positive.
Right.
So how can I respond appropriately so I can feel good about myself and how I responded? Because once those words are out of your mouth or those actions are out of your mouth, you can't take them back. So
yes.
That's
it's
exactly
like,
what
all
Darrell did in his story. He changed that space.
Yeah, and we got to apply it within. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like people say, well, as long as I didn't do the wrong thing, then I'm fine. And I agree with that, especially as a beginner.
Well, it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I believe in that wholeheartedly. But what separates the men from the boys and the girls from the young ladies is
Or
when
women,
we apply it within and get to the core. Because let me tell you, this wasn't like I knew the relief was going to be like you said.
Well,
it feels like heaven.
I'm going
It
to tell you,
switches it from
the
heaven.
other method leaves us out of the joy equation. And it's not complete unless the joy is, we are in the joy equation.
Because behaving properly is great. But if I'm still behaving properly but grumbling to my friends or within myself, then I'm still eating the poison.
Yeah, it's nonsense in the end because it's still, there's an outer power and I'm doing the right thing by that power.
Yeah.
And so what else you got on there?
Yeah.
Another one?
So Ernest Holmes writes in this thing called You, which is
I love
easy,
that book.
It's the best book because it's just all about you.
And it's a tiny little book. Anyone can read it, folks.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a free download that you can do, also a nice little PDF. But the greatest gift life could have made to you is yourself. You are a spontaneous, self-choosing center in life in the great drama of being, the great joy of becoming, the certainty of eternal expansion. You could not ask for more, and more could not have been given. So with Christmas upon us, you really are the gift. And so reminding ourselves that we're the gift, and it took so much for us to be here as human entities.
Yes.
So loving that presence that we are.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love how the word presence means
Presence.
and presence.
Presence.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
Beautiful. You have another one for us?
Good. Well, actually, this would be from my youngest son, Andrew. He writes, beauty transcends my mind in a state of pure bliss. Hearts merge to create a work of love. Time disappears as we embrace love and bliss and defy all limits.
Wait, your son wrote that?
Yeah, he's a little poet. Yeah.
How old is he?
He's about 36 right now. So,
Can I hear that again?
yes.
That was brilliant.
Yes, beauty transcends my mind into a state of pure bliss. Hearts merge to create a work of love. Time disappears as we embrace love and bliss and defy all limits.
Right.
And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? Bless and bliss
Yep,
are
same
the
root.
same
Yeah,
root.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, we
Yeah.
love your son.
That's
Yeah,
great.
that's an amazing. So thank you,
Well,
son. For
yes. Well, I have
answering
4
us.
amazing children that were raised in
Andrew.
this philosophy, so they're all doing
How
great
fortunate
things.
that is.
Wow.
Well, that's like
Great
Ed's
things in
son.
the world.
Yeah.
Ed's son doesn't have to go through all the mental gymnastics either Ed or
Undoing.
I do. Yeah,
Just gonna-
undoing.
yeah, undoing
Yeah.
this misguidance.
Yeah, he had, yes, because of being introduced to this stuff as a way of living and seeing Ed use it and apply it and be an
Right.
example of it instead of just a dad saying you ought. You know, he's like, oh, well, this guy lives it, so it must really work. It's
Yeah,
working
well,
for
thank
him.
God I sought out the tools, and so when he would trigger me, I was like, well, how do I work on this trigger within myself before I just blame him? And that's just the game changer, just like the Viktor Frankl quote.
Yeah.
It changed that gave me that space and to make new choices. I'm gonna tell you this. Emmett Fox said, "Nature always takes you at your own valuation. Believe that you are a child of God. Believe that you express life, truth, love. Believe that wisdom guides you. Believe that you are a special enterprise on the part of God, and what you really believe, you will demonstrate," which is why we have to apply it within, because our whole life is reflecting back what
Yes.
it is that we are believing
And that's good news.
within, and that's great news, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is there
Yeah, it is.
anything else you want to share before we wrap up the
Well, it
show?
depends on how much time you have. I have my metaphysical version of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas.
Let's do it.
All
Do you have
right.
time? Is it
Yeah,
good?
yeah,
Okay.
we
Are we good?
This
Okay.
is a Christmas.
Okay,
We'll
all right.
consider this a special holiday
Yeah, because
episode.
we'll get it up for people in time for Christmas.
That's
All
right.
right. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through my mind, I was thinking of all the great things I might find. Affirmations were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that my consciousness soon would be there. Inner garbage was wrapped all up in a bow. From the outside, I might have appeared like a pro. Kept bearing over all the old stuff. Consciously speaking, my mind needed a muff. When negativity was my only mind chatter, I sprang to awareness to see what's the matter. When what to my wondering, I should appear, metaphysical teachers saying, get your stuff clear.
Yes.
With brilliant teachers so lively and quick, I thought for a moment, this must be a trick. Up until now, please hear me, they said, your world you've created with thoughts in your head. Life is a journey that you have been granted. Be mindful of all the things that you've planted. Be brilliant, be loving, be perfectly smart. Love who you are and open your heart. You are the gift, the vision is clear. Be consciously mindful that the world is your mirror. And I heard them exclaim as they drove out of sight, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Wow, that was a perfect wrap-up reading for the show. And that was like the best rewriting of one of these things I've ever heard. That
Okay,
was
thanks.
incredible.
Thank you.
That brought the medicine.
And
Wow.
we could take a
Thank you.
picture and put it on our. I got a copy, so
That's
we'll take a
true.
picture and we'll share it.
So Andrew
Sure.
did not fall far from the tree with regards to writing. So that's beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us. Is there someplace people can reach out to find you on the internet?
Sure. Well, you can. It's a work in progress.
Okay.
It's Valerie with the number 2, Valerie to Speak, at Gmail, but Valerie to Speak, and I'm working on Inside Out seminars. So from the inside out, we got to work on the inside
great.
to create the outside.
And then mention your workshop again for the intentions.
So,
Yes.
yeah, the Intentions Workshop will be on January 1st at the Redondo Beach Center in Redondo Beach. So it's 907 Nob Hill. You can go to redondocsl.org and learn more.
Yeah, and are your services over there online for people to tune into?
They are,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, just
Yeah,
Redondo.
because we love
CSL.
to get our listeners and viewers to be, tap into the place where, because we've been there and it is
It's amazing.
Reverend Ike spoke
beautiful.
there. So many different people spoke there. So it's just so full. When I went to the service there, I could just feel all
It's
of that.
incredible.
air
Yeah,
conditioning.
it's a beautiful center.
It's
it is.
amazing. It's an amazing mid-century piece of architecture, inside and
It
out,
is. It's
isn't it?
true.
It's
It is.
incredible.
Yeah,
It is.
so we found a story, by the way.
Yeah, we can't confirm whether or not this is true.
Tell me the website one more time because we could put it in the link to the YouTube also. What is it?
Redondo.
Well, that too.
For
but
mine,
yours.
Valerie, the number 2. Valerie to speak.
Valerie2speak.com.
No, at Gmail.
Well, it's a
Valerie2speak at Gmail. That's how they can reach out to you.
Yes, but my my website's a work in progress.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But Valerie2speak at gmail.com.
Absolutely.
Great. All right. So, but we found the story, which may or may not be true.
TMZ. You can't really trust them all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry. It's teetering on. It's not going to go anywhere you're afraid it might go.
Your mind.
You're not going to believe where this is going to go. This story.
Your minds. Watch your minds, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, hold on to your Christian bonnets. Don't worry. It's not going to go in any direction you might worry.
Yeah.
So Reverend Valerie loves to get the congregation engaged in her services and asked if anyone had a demonstration that they wanted to share to inspire everyone. A woman walked to the mic and said, "I want to give thanks because a month ago my husband Tom had a bike accident that crushed his scrotum. It was so bad that he could not even hold our children due to the pain. The crowd, especially the men, winced. Reverend Valerie just took a deep breath, like she does, and smiled.
Yes.
Then the woman continued, I prayed for complete and swift healing of my husband's scrotum with Reverend Valerie. Miraculously, my husband's scrotum healed so quickly that he avoided the surgery that the doctor recommended and is once again able to hold our children without any pain. What a miracle. Avoided the whole surgery. Everyone cheered except one man who raised his hand and stood up slowly. The usher, the wonderful ushers over there in Redondo Beach, came right to him, brought him a mic, and he said,
my name is Tom, and I just wanted to tell my wife that the word is sternum.
That's great.
Poor Valerie was sweating there for a little while. Whatever.
that they break me, man, but this is actually funny, man. Saying scrotum with a reverend present, man. That made my inner child's day. All right. Let's see. It's Robert Palmer. He wants to come sing us.
Hello, blokes.
All right. Shall we sing it out? Are these the original lyrics to the song?
Oh, yes. Someone muffed them up in the studio, but these are the original lyrics. I don't know what my accent is, so I'm just guessing here.
Well, let's sing it out. Joby, you want to join us in the studio for a little sing-along?
Sure. Yeah, I didn't learn the chords.
No, I just come on in. It's Christmas. What the heck? So, everybody, it's been a pleasure to be with you.
Yes.
And,
you may know this song.
yeah. Hopefully you know better than we do.
Can you fit in there?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
The lights are on, but you're not home.
Your mind is not your own. Your heart sweats. Your body shakes. A little bliss is all it takes.
You gotta read before you eat. Let go of doubt. Don't be cheap. Your heart is light. You sit and breathe. A little bliss is all you need. Whoa, you like to think that you're immune to this stuff. Oh yeah. It's closer to the truth to say can't get enough. You know you're gonna have to face it. You're addicted to love.
Wow, I'm so glad we rehearsed that. Thank you for visiting. I mean, you could visit Darrell and Ed.
Valerie, we love you.
Visit DarrellandEd.com to find easy links to everything we do.
Jeff Comfort, we love you.
And thanks again for being a part of Funniest Thing with Darrell and
Oh,
Ed.
you like to think that you're immune to this stuff. Oh, yeah. It's closer to the truth to say. Can't get enough. You know you're gonna have to face it. You're addicted to love. Woo!
Good job.
What did Valerie get herself into?